Welcome to week 5 unit 2 on affective domain and emotional and social intelligence. In the earlier unit we understood the features of psychomotor and affective domains, and now we will continue with that. We will try to understand some methods of addressing affective domain, particularly using the inventory of emotional and social intelligence. Addressing affective domain had always been a bit difficult. People have been attempting for the past several decades, but everybody considers, including researchers in education, they firmly believe that affective domain and skills are equally or even more important than cognitive aspects in educative process and employment. See, everybody understands if you are not in a mood, or you had something that is happening outside the classroom, neither the teacher nor the student they are not able to effectively give the required attention or focus on what is being done, and so on. That everybody knows. So, the affective dimension intuitively everybody knows is important, but how do you address that? That is something that people have been exploring for quite some time, but we still are not able to, in my opinion, integrate them into the regular classroom work. So, let us see what is being done. Some attempts are made to write affective outcomes associated with a given cognitive outcome. Writing cognitive outcomes, though difficult, but it can be properly done. But writing an affective outcome, that is, this is what I want to achieve, writing that is a little more difficult. Even if you are able to write, how to plan instruction that attempts to attain both cognitive and affective outcomes at the same time is a challenge. Some attempts are made, but there are not many case studies reported in the literature, particularly in engineering subjects. Specially designed courses or programs were the most used means for addressing affective factors. We talked about what affective factors are in the previous unit. There are standalone courses to address affective domain. The most popular one is a course on engineering ethics, or where you present ethical theories, NSPE codes, code of ethics, and IEEE code of ethics, and case studies. They are all integrated into that, and they are offered, such courses are offered in IITs and NITs in India. And also recently one course on universal human values courses designed by IIIT, BHU, AICTE, they are all available, and it looks at harmony in self, family, society and nature, self exploration and clarity in values. And there can be courses, though I have not come across many, courses on technology, society and policy. One can have courses like information networks, energy and society, water and society, habitat, any one sustainable development goals. And there are what are called service learning courses, which some institutions in India have attempted and did a very good job over a long period of time as well. So, these are some of the courses that are done, though they do not directly address stated affective outcomes, but they at least indirectly address the affective factors. And if you look at some of these courses are generally given by either guest or adjunct faculty. Mostly it is done that way, though there are exceptions where regular faculty of a department are likely to give. The number of students, if you have a guest faculty, the number of students in any particular semester who have to take this, because such a course will be common across all branches. You can have as many as 400 to 2000 students per batch in different private universities and colleges. And they have to be given in multiple batches, and assessment can prove to be very, very difficult. And the regular faculty, when you go for guest faculty, regular faculty are unlikely to get involved, especially in tier 2 institutions. So somebody comes and gives some lectures, and you are not very sure what kind of assessment that is being done, and if the numbers are very large, then it becomes still more difficult. And any one course if you take is unlikely to address all the affective factors, only it will address a subset of them. And including more than one course in the curriculum, if these courses are given purely as a kind of no credit course, then it will not have any value. People attend that, write something, and you say that it has been addressed, it is of no value. And even if it is formally part of the curriculum where it has some credits associated with that, then including more than one course in curriculum may not be very easy. So what happens, one course can only address a subset of factors. To that extent, you can only maximum attempt at addressing a small subset of affective factors. The other option that is available is to conduct some programs and workshops. These workshops, they are done around the world. Moral reasoning development programs grounded in Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development, very well researched, and the programs are well designed, and students discuss ethical dilemmas and justified decisions. That is one way of doing it. Role playing and simulation based learning. Use role based playing scenarios, mock tribunals, or virtual reality ethics games to place students in decision making roles. Just community programs. Mentorship and reflection and reflective writing and journaling. Design thinking and human centered design programs. They are all can be used to through special programs and workshops, but again, how effectively they are integrated into the curriculum? Unless they carry some weightage, proper assessment and evaluation, and if all students are not participating, then you are not fully addressing the affective domain at all. So issues with programs and workshops involving all the students of a batch can prove to be very difficult, as I have already stated. Assessment is difficult. Without adequate weightage given to these programs and workshops, it will not be possible to ensure student participation. If you give no credit, no weightage, or very small weightage, obviously students will not effectively participate. If these programs are outsourced, the regular faculty are unlikely to integrate the affective dimension into their courses. If the regular faculty are not involved somehow in this, somehow the purpose of addressing the affective domain through the program will not be effective. and this is where we bring in the emotional and social intelligence. Goleman and Boyatzis, two well-known researchers in this area, proposed a taxonomy, a subset of affective domain. It does not 100% address all the affective factors, but at least it addresses a major subset of affective factors. They called it emotional and social intelligence, ESI. It is the ability to recognize, understand, manage and influence emotions both in oneself and in others. Okay. It encompasses skills and attributes that allow individuals to navigate social complexities, build strong relationships and make informed emotional decisions. All these factors are equally important in professional life. So, if this ESI can somehow be integrated into the curriculum, then you are preparing your students to perform well in the job they are likely to enter, any type of job. How do we integrate affective learning? Understand all the sub-processes of emotional and social intelligence. Incorporate instructional activities in selected courses, say 2 in a semester, that address a subset of affective processes. So, the strategy is not to, if you can put a specialized course like engineering ethics and do that, integrate into the curriculum where it carries weightage is okay. In addition to that or in place of that, you want to integrate these activities into every semester some courses. What we are suggesting at least 2. It does not mean that the 2 courses, that means at least 2 faculty are involved, and into these courses some activities will focus on this addressing these affective factors. So, they are distributed over several semesters and many faculty are likely to get involved, and in this process we will be able to integrate the affective domain into the curriculum. That is the strategy we propose. Now, let us look at emotional and social intelligence. ESI and affective domain goals are intricately linked. They are not identical one to the other. Linked as both emphasize the development and application of emotions, attitudes, values and interpersonal skills. Okay. While ESI focuses on individual capacities to recognize, understand and manage emotions, the affective domain addresses the hierarchical progression of emotional engagement from awareness to internalized values. We have presented in the previous unit that of Pearce and Gray taxonomy of affective domain, where there is a hierarchy of these affective taxonomy of affective domain, and there is a progression that is presented. That is the difference between the ESI and affective domain taxonomy. The core components of ESI, as due to Goleman and Boyatzis, are recognized today as self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness and relationship management as 4 quadrants. As can be represented like this, the left side is self and right side is others. That is, every one of us, we need to be aware of ourselves, and we should be able to manage our own emotions or manage ourselves, and then we should also understand others, and we should also be able to effectively interact with others. So that is why it is converted into 4 quadrants. One is self-awareness, the other is self-regulation. With others you talk about social awareness, and the other one is relationship management. And we talk about emotional and social competency inventory. That is the word they coined, ESCI. ESCI has several sub-processes, like we had several sub-processes in the cognitive processes also. Here also we have sub-processes. These sub-processes differ slightly for a working professional and a student in higher education institutions. There is a slight difference, right? And it is known as ESCI-U, that is ESCI University for students in higher educational institutions. This ESCI-U is elaborated by again Goleman and Boyadzis. Now we will quickly go through that, we will not elaborate too much on each one of them. Self-awareness, the ability to recognize and understand your emotions, triggers and their effects on your thoughts and behaviors. Each one of us seem to be, our emotions seem to be getting triggered by something. Sometimes it may look trivial to others, but it gets triggered in us. So if one is aware of what triggers your emotion and what is the emotion you feel, at least that self-awareness itself is the first step. So the key component of this is emotional self-awareness, knowing what you are feeling and why. Let us say I am feeling irritated, I am feeling sad, I am feeling angry, and you pause a little bit and say and find out why you are feeling so. What triggered is, what happenings around you made you feel that. That awareness itself is a very important step. It may look trivial and obvious, but it does not happen. People react very fast in this. Sometimes they even get emotionally hijacked. Now coming to self-regulation or self-management, whichever way you want to call, the ability to manage your emotions effectively and act in ways that align with your values. Key components: achievement orientations, striving to improve or meet a standard of excellence. You have some standard, you are trying to meet that. Adaptability, adjusting to changing environment and overcoming challenges. Emotional self-control, managing disruptive emotions and impulses. For example, when you feel extremely angry, you are likely to get emotionally hijacked, and traditionally you know that people will tell you when you are very angry, you count 10 before you react. That is, you are giving yourself a little time for you to process why it has happened and do that. So in most of the societies you do have some simple things like that, but how do you have to have a method of managing your disruptive emotions. For that you should know what are your disruptive emotions and how do you manage. Positive outlook, seeing the best in people, situations and the future. And then a social awareness or social competence, the ability to understand others' emotions, needs and concerns. Because we are always, whether you are a student or a professional, you are always interacting both at family level, at colleagues level, you are always interacting with somebody. And to that extent, the key components of social awareness are empathy, understanding and sharing others' emotions and perspectives. No two people will exactly have the same emotion or same perception of a single event. So one should be able to, if you have empathy, then you understand, you become sensitive to how others feel or how others are likely to emotionally react. And organizational awareness. Whenever you are organizing, whenever you are living and working in an organization, even family is an organization, our classroom is an organization, our department is an organization, or a company in which you work is an organization, and each organization has certain dynamics, group dynamics. This is how people work with one another. And for example, at family level, all of us quickly understand, because we have grown in that, what are the dynamics in that, and people will also adjust. If you can't adjust, it will become a family, a dysfunctional family. And service orientation, anticipating, recognizing and meeting the needs of others. And this many times possibly you might have done this at home. You anticipate what is likely to happen, and you recognize when something untoward is going to happen among the family members, and how do you overcome that. Some of you must be practicing that. Same thing you have to do formally here. ESCI-U, relationship management, that is social competence, the ability to build and maintain healthy relationships. That is the next stage. One is understanding others. Now you have to manage the relationships. Conflict management, coach and mentor, supporting others' development and growth. Can you, to the extent possible, can you help others? We all know, even among students, one student is likely to help other student, his friend, if he is having some difficulty. Influence, persuading and inspiring others effectively. Inspirational leadership, motivating and guiding teams or groups towards goals. If you are working in a group, the group is somehow not progressing, at least some members of that should be able to take that leadership position to move forward towards the goal. Teamwork, collaborating, working well with others. Inspirational communication, conveying messages in a clear and engaging way. So these are all the sub processes of ESCI-U. Then how can we train students in ESCI-U? We have already explained the requirements. It is generally good if all faculty are sensitive to these issues and also participate. Then only the purpose will be served. If faculty considers it irrelevant and you only resort to adjunct faculty or a guest faculty, it is not likely to happen. Somehow indirectly you communicate that it is not important, then the students will not pay any attention to that. So you require all the faculty of a department to be sensitive at least, and then participate to the extent possible. The suggested way of integrating affective domain with cognitive domain is through using instructional methods supported by appropriate rubrics. Use instructional methods. These instructional methods, what are all the possibilities? Some of them have been addressed in the previous course like NATE and the associated course called IGL, Instruction for Good Learning. Instructional methods best suited to address ESCI-U are project based instruction and problem based instruction. As of now, these two are likely to address the the ESCI-U in practically in all the 4 quadrants. The faculty who wish to use these instructional methods obviously require considerable training. And there is an agency, because many of these training does not come free. There is Corn Ferry is a company which does it on a large scale. Whichever organization or an institute that requires, but these are all based on Goleman-Boyardz's 4 quadrant model only. They provide training and certification in the emotional and social competency inventory specifically for university students through ESCI-U. So, if a university is interested, they can they have to give it as a contract to Corn Ferry, and incidentally they have an office in 3 or 4 major cities in India, and they can offer, but I do not know what exactly is the cost of those programs. Okay. So, that is how we can address affective domain through ESCI-U. It may not be 100%, but it is much better than, in my opinion, all the other attempts are made through selective courses and programs and workshops. And in the next unit we try to understand the features of the 4th domain, namely the spiritual domain. And thank you for your attention.